You have always had the ability to smile, even when pain was present. The people around you only saw your facade, the mask of well-being that you had carefully constructed. You never wanted others to see your vulnerabilities. The smile became your shield, a way to hide the emotional storm you carried inside. The truth is, behind that radiant expression, there was a world full of silences and regrets. You remembered the moments when you needed someone to help, but the pressure to maintain appearances spoke louder. Those who approached you often said, "You look so good," and inside, you wondered if anyone could see beyond the shine of your mask. But the answer was no. Over time, this dynamic began to weigh heavily on you. The superficial interactions left a void. The smile had become armor, and you realized that the loneliness was deepening as the days went by. You started to wonder, does anyone really care about the truth you can't share? The pressure to stay strong, while fragility pulsed beneath your skin, became exhausting. Small talk at social gatherings became a burden. Instead of being a space for relief, each interaction felt like a reminder that no one knew what was really going on with you. As your friends talked about their achievements and joys, you felt increasingly out of place, trapped in a cycle of fake smiles. It was an emotional iceberg, where most of the pain remained hidden, while the visible part was merely a reflection of what you wanted everyone to see. One day, you decided it was time to change. The weight of the mask became unbearable. You started to share your feelings with someone special, someone who seemed willing to listen. The words came out hesitantly at first, but as you spoke, a sense of liberation began to emerge. It was as if a part of your heart, frozen beneath a layer of smiles, started to thaw. Vulnerability wasn't a sign of weakness, it was an incredible strength, allowing you to connect more deeply with others. This journey wasn't easy. With each step, you faced the fear of being judged or misinterpreted, but at the same time you realized that many others were carrying their own masks too. Those who seemed so happy on social media also had their struggles. What you didn't see was that in the shared fragility, there was a beauty that brought people together in a way that no forced smile could provide. By opening up to others, you not only began to heal, but you also encouraged those around you to do the same. Conversations became more authentic, and the silences that used to feel heavy began to be filled with understanding and mutual support. You realized that true human connection is formed when the masks come off and souls meet in their rawest essence. The journey to shed the mask of well-being doesn't have a defined end, but each day you feel lighter. The smiles now are more genuine, and the pain that once was hidden begins to transform into strength. You learn that being true to yourself and to others is the best path to authenticity and happiness. Life is made up of ups and downs, but it is in vulnerabilities that the deepest connections are forged. And so the story continues, marked by a new perspective. The mask that once seemed so necessary is now just a reminder that true strength lies in honesty and the courage to be who you really are. The journey you started was not just about opening up, but also about understanding what it meant to be genuine in a world that often values appearances. With each conversation, you began to notice that many of your friends and acquaintances were also struggling with their own insecurities. By sharing your stories, you became a mirror, reflecting what many were trying to hide. The first step was difficult, but after a while you started to feel more comfortable expressing your emotions. Interactions became more meaningful. You began meeting up with friends, not just to socialize, but to discuss feelings, fears, and hopes. Conversations shifted from being superficial to exploring deeper themes. This brought a new dimension to your relationships, transforming them into stronger and more authentic bonds. Over time, you began to notice changes in yourself. By embracing your vulnerability, you started to feel a sense of relief like you had never experienced before. The idea that it was okay not to be okay all the time was liberating. You discovered that having bad days was perfectly fine, and that sadness and regret were part of the human experience. This didn't mean you were weak. On the contrary, it was a recognition of life's complexity. You recalled moments when you felt overwhelmed, but now, instead of stifling those feelings, you welcomed them. This shift in perspective brought with it the understanding that vulnerability is a crucial step towards authenticity. You began to surround yourself with people who also valued honesty and transparency. Interactions became more enriching, and you realized that reciprocity in relationships was essential. As you opened up, you noticed that others were also willing to share their struggles. The environment around you began to change. Conversations about achievements and joys were now accompanied by discussions about challenges and overcoming them. This created a safe space for everyone to be sincere and authentic. The smile that once served as a mask was now transforming into a genuine expression of joy because you were no longer hiding how you felt. The emotional connection you formed with others began to have a profound impact on your life. You became more empathetic, listening attentively to the stories and experiences of those around you. This empathy not only helped others feel seen and heard, but also strengthened your own understanding of yourself. Each shared story was an opportunity to learn, grow, and connect on a deeper level. You realized that true emotional support does not come from ready-made formulas or superficial advice, but from the willingness to be present and listen. The solidarity that emerged from these conversations turned into a genuine support circle. You and your friends began to meet regularly, not just to discuss problems, but also to celebrate small victories and daily achievements. These gatherings became a source of renewed strength. The transformation was not limited to your social interactions. This new approach to life began to reflect in other areas as well. You became more open to experiences, accepting invitations to events and activities you might have avoided before. Social life became richer, and you started to explore new hobbies and interests. In doing so, you realized that true joy does not come from maintaining a facade, but from living fully. You also began to take better care of yourself. Self-care became a priority. You learned to listen to your body and mind, recognizing when you needed rest or some time for yourself. This attention to your well-being brought a new clarity and energy, allowing you to face daily challenges with more resilience. The path to authenticity was not linear. There were moments of relapse, days when the old mask seemed more appealing, when the fear of being judged resurfaced. But even in those moments, you remembered what you had achieved. The connections you formed and the freedom you found in being true to yourself always proved to be more powerful than any external pressure. Gradually, you realized that your story was more than a struggle against the mask of well-being. It was about the ability to grow, to learn, and to connect with others on deeper and more meaningful levels. You became an advocate for vulnerability, encouraging others to open up and free themselves from their own masks. This shift in perspective not only transformed your life but also had a domino effect on the lives of those around you. Friends began to open up, sharing their own stories and forming stronger bonds. The cycle of vulnerability and empathy spread, creating a supportive community that valued each other. The journey that began with the weight of a false smile has now transformed into a path of authenticity and collective growth. You felt grateful for having made the decision to open up, but choosing vulnerability over solitude. Life has become richer, more colorful, and more meaningful. And so, you continue walking with a genuine smile on your face, ready to face whatever comes next, knowing that true strength lies in being who you really are. You've realized that the change wasn't limited to just yourself. It began to resonate in the lives of those around you. Through your conversations, your friends started to reflect on their own experiences. Those who had previously kept their stories locked away began to open up. Gatherings that used to be merely social encounters transformed into a safe space to share challenges and triumphs. The life stories that emerged were diverse. Each account brought a new lesson, a fresh perspective. You felt honored to be part of this transformative process. With each story shared, the feeling of loneliness that once accompanied you began to dissipate. Instead of feeling isolated in your struggles, you were now part of a network of genuine support. This welcoming environment started to encourage more honest and transparent communication. People were willing to listen, and you noticed that active listening was becoming increasingly common. Conversations shifted from superficial topics to discussions about what truly mattered. Fears, frustrations, and hopes were now on the table, creating a climate of trust. Moreover, the vulnerability you began to cultivate brought a new sense of purpose. By opening up, you not only freed yourself from an emotional burden, but also became a source of inspiration for others. Your willingness to be authentic prompted many people to reflect on their own lives. You noticed that some friends have started to feel more comfortable talking about their own challenges, revealing how hard they were fighting to maintain appearances. Discussions about mental health and well-being have become more common within your social circle. You all began exploring ways to take care of yourselves and each other, Books on self-awareness, podcasts about vulnerability, and articles on empathy became part of your conversations. This exchange of knowledge not only enriched your interactions but also fostered collective growth. You started getting involved in community activities that promoted mental health and emotional well-being. Participating in support groups and workshops on nonviolent communication became a priority. These experiences brought new tools that helped not only yourself, but also your friends connect even more. You learned to express your emotions in a healthy way, to listen without judgment, and to offer genuine support. Your social life became richer and more meaningful. Hangouts with friends were not just opportunities for fun, but also moments of deep connection. You organized gatherings where you could share experiences, discuss feelings, and support one another. Conversations about mental health were no longer a taboo. On the contrary, they became a central focus of your friendship. This openness created a ripple effect, encouraging others to join in, creating an inclusive and welcoming space. Over time, you realized that vulnerability is not something to be avoided, but rather celebrated. Interactions that were once superficial have now become deep and meaningful. You felt closer to your friends and at the same time closer to yourself. Authenticity became the foundation of your relationships, and this reflected in every aspect of your life. Self-care has become a daily practice. You started taking time for activities that nourish your soul and mind. Nature walks, meditation, and reading have become essential parts of your routine. These practices not only helped alleviate anxiety, but also provided moments of reflection and self-discovery. By taking care of yourself, you felt more capable of supporting others in their journeys. As you continued to open up and connect, other areas of your life began to flourish. At work, you noticed that collaboration and communication improved. By creating a more welcoming and transparent environment with your colleagues, you were able to face challenges together more effectively. The team became more cohesive and productivity increased. The experiences you had during this journey helped you realize that vulnerability is a powerful strength. When you allow yourself to be real and authentic, you not only free yourself from external pressures, but also inspire others to do the same. Your story is not just about you, it's about human connection and the ability to touch the lives of others. You began sharing your experiences on social media and blogs, creating a space where others could feel seen and heard. The response was surprising. Messages from people identifying with your struggles started to appear. Many shared how your words encouraged them to open up and seek help. This further reinforced your belief that vulnerability is a pathway to healing, not just for you, but for everyone. Over time, you became an active advocate for mental health, participating in events and talks about the importance of discussing emotions and vulnerabilities became a new passion. You noticed that by sharing your story, you were helping to break the stigma surrounding mental health, encouraging others to do the same. This new mission brought renewed purpose to your life. The journey towards authenticity is ongoing, and you know there will be challenges ahead. However, each day you feel more prepared to face them. The mask that once weighed heavily on your shoulders is now a symbol of the transformation you've undergone. You have become an example of how it's possible to live life authentically, embracing both the light and the shadows. As you look to the future, you feel hopeful. Your experiences and lessons have shaped not only who you are, but also how you relate to the world. Life is a mosaic of experiences, and now you are ready to live them fully, with a genuine smile on your face and an open heart. The journey you started was not limited to just you. As you became more open and vulnerable, the positive impact began to spread among your friends and family. Those who were once trapped in their emotional armor started to feel more comfortable revealing themselves. Conversations that were once superficial began to turn into moments of true introspection and understanding. You realized that authenticity is contagious. When someone opened up about their fears or uncertainties, it was almost as if an invitation was extended for others to do the same. This created an environment where everyone felt at ease, sharing their struggles without fear of judgment. This safe space became a refuge where people could feel seen and understood. With each gathering, you noticed more and more people joining your circle. New faces brought new stories, and every shared account became a valuable contribution to what was evolving into a solid support network. The diversity of experiences enriched the conversations, and collective learnings multiplied. You felt like part of something bigger, a community that supported one another. Social media also became a space for this exchange of vulnerabilities. By sharing your experiences online, you not only connected with people in your personal life, but also reached a wider audience. Messages of support and shared stories began to flow. Some people reported how your words helped them find the courage to seek therapy or simply open up to friends. This digital interaction brought another layer of complexity. You started to notice that what you did in real life was resonating in the virtual world. The authenticity you cultivated personally was now influencing others to shed their own masks. This brought a sense of responsibility, but also hope. Over time, you got involved in initiatives that promoted mental health in your community. Participating in support groups and workshops became a priority. By sharing your learnings, you not only helped others, but also solidified your own understanding of the importance of vulnerability. Gatherings became true spaces for exchange, where life experiences were discussed openly and honestly. These interactions began to show that mental health is a collective issue, not just an individual one. Discussions about mental health and emotional well-being became common, and you realized that many people were willing to talk about their challenges. This willingness to discuss topics that had once been considered taboo brought relief to many. Stories about anxiety, depression, and other emotional issues were no longer whispers in hallways. They were now part of everyday dialogue. The understanding that everyone faces challenges at some point in their lives has helped destigmatize mental health. You've seen people come together to support one another, creating a culture of empathy. The simple act of asking, "How are you really?" has become a powerful gesture. Responses have shifted from mere formalities to reflections of each person's emotional reality. As you continued to open up, you also realized that active listening was a skill that needed to be cultivated. You learned to listen without interrupting, to validate others' feelings, and to offer support without imposing. This new style of communication not only strengthened your relationships, but also helped you better understand yourself. Conversations about personal challenges were no longer isolated events. They became a regular practice. You and your friends started gathering not only to have fun, but also to discuss the difficulties you faced. Vulnerability transformed into a bond that connected everyone, and each meeting became an opportunity for growth. Self-care activities also became a collective priority. You joined together to participate in yoga classes, meditation, or nature walks. These moments not only promoted physical well-being, but also strengthened emotional ties. The feeling of being together in pursuit of a common goal brought a new dimension to your friendships. You realized that vulnerability wasn't just about opening up, but also about understanding that everyone has their struggles. By fostering a supportive environment, you helped create a space where people felt comfortable exploring their own emotions without fear of judgment. This not only fostered personal growth, but also group cohesion. As you progressed on this journey, solidarity became a driving force. You began to realize that vulnerability was an act of courage, and that true emotional connection could only be achieved when people allowed themselves to be authentic. This became a mantra in your life. That authenticity is the key to meaningful relationships. Over time, you became an advocate for mental health in your community. You organized events and talks that addressed the importance of vulnerability and honest communication. These initiatives not only helped raise awareness about mental health, but also encouraged others to get involved and share their stories. These events became true spaces for transformation. People of all ages and backgrounds came together to discuss their experiences and learn from one another. You witnessed change happening right before your eyes as the stigmas surrounding mental health began to fade. The stories of overcoming challenges and resilience became inspirations for many, and the bonds between people grew stronger. The life you live now is marked by a profound sense of purpose. You not only freed yourself from the mask you wore, but also helped others do the same. Every genuine smile you now share is a reflection of the journey you've traveled. The authenticity you have embraced has become a powerful force in your life, and you feel grateful for every step you've taken in that direction. You understand that the journey to authenticity is ongoing. There will be good days and bad days, but the difference now is that you're not alone. You've built a support network that sustains each other, where vulnerabilities are seen as strengths. Life is a complex journey, filled with ups and downs, but now you're ready to face it with an open heart and a resilient spirit. You've realized that the path to authenticity requires not only courage, but also a continuous commitment to personal growth. Each day you become more aware of your emotions and learn to handle them in a healthy way. This new awareness has made you a keen observer of your reactions and feelings, allowing you to respond to situations instead of just reacting. The process of self-discovery has been enriching. You've started keeping a record of your thoughts and emotions in a journal, a safe space where you can be completely honest with yourself. These pages have become a reflection of your journey, filled with doubts, discoveries, and achievements. The act of writing has not only helped organize your thoughts, but also allowed you to look back and see how far you've come. Moreover, you've realized that vulnerability isn't just about sharing in a group. It's also about being honest with yourself. In moments of solitude, instead of retreating into distractions, you've begun to question what you truly feel and need. This practice of self-analysis has brought to light truths that had long been dormant. You found that by acknowledging your emotions, you could deal with them more effectively. The conversations you've started having with friends have also expanded into deeper discussions about mental health in general. You all started exploring different ways to take care of your mind, such as practicing meditation and understanding the importance of sleep. Sharing tips on how to deal with anxiety, for example, became a common topic. Everyone shared their strategies, creating a toolkit that everyone could use in times of need. You also realized that the empathy you developed not only benefited others, but also helped you understand yourself better. As you listened to your friends' stories, you found yourself reflecting on your own experiences. This constant exchange of vulnerabilities created a supportive environment that extended beyond your friendship, permeating other areas of your life. Over time, your understanding of the complexities of mental health deepened. You began attending courses and workshops that covered topics like nonviolent communication, emotional intelligence, and self-care. These experiences not only expanded your knowledge, but also provided you with new skills to apply in your daily life. As you became more educated on the subject, you felt a growing responsibility to share this information with others. You started organizing small discussion groups where people could come together to learn about mental health, share experiences, and support one another. These meetings became a safe space where everyone felt comfortable discussing their struggles and achievements. The conversations became deeper and more meaningful, and you noticed changes in the group dynamics. Vulnerability ceased to be a taboo and instead became a bridge that connected people. Friends who were once just acquaintances became confidants, and you began to see the value in each interaction. You also started to recognize the importance of proactively taking care of your own mental health. This meant setting clear boundaries in relationships, learning to say no when necessary, and prioritizing your well-being. This new approach brought a balance that once seemed unattainable. Self-criticism decreased, and instead, you began to treat yourself with compassion. These changes in your personal life reflected in your professional relationships. You became more open and collaborative, allowing ideas to flow freely in your work environment. Communication with colleagues improved, and you started to notice an increase in team productivity. Meetings became more effective, as everyone felt comfortable sharing their opinions and concerns. By engaging in discussions about mental health at work, you noticed that many of your colleagues were also struggling with similar issues. This awareness helped create a more inclusive and welcoming workplace. People began to recognize the importance of taking care of not only their physical health, but also their mental health. The perspective shift you experienced spread to your community. You joined local organizations that promoted mental health, participating in events and campaigns aimed at raising awareness about the topic. Your involvement not only brought new connections, but also a renewed sense of purpose in your life. Through these initiatives, you became an active advocate for mental health and the importance of vulnerability. The idea that everyone has their own stories and struggles became a cornerstone of your message. By sharing your own journey, you encouraged others to open up and connect with each other. The community's response was encouraging. People began to attend events and engage in meaningful conversations about mental health. The stigmas that once surrounded these discussions began to fade, and the gatherings became a space for sharing experiences and mutual support. You realized that vulnerability could be a powerful strength, not only for yourself, but also for others. The interactions that used to be superficial were now filled with meaning and authenticity. The environment you helped create became a place where empathy thrived, and everyone felt valued. Over time, you started to reflect on how the journey toward authenticity had changed your life. The genuine smile that now adorned your face was not just a symbol of your own freedom, it was also a representation of the transformation that had occurred around you. You felt grateful for every step you took toward vulnerability and for the courage to open up. Life had become a mosaic of shared experiences, where stories of overcoming and resilience interwove. You understood that by allowing yourself to be true, you were also helping others to do the same. Vulnerability was not a weakness, but a bridge that united people in their purest essence. As you observed the changes in your life and in the lives of those around you, you felt hopeful. The journey was still ongoing, and you knew there would be challenges ahead, but now you were prepared to face them with an open heart and a clear mind. The authenticity you cultivated within yourself became a light that guided not only you, but also those who crossed your path. Strengthening your authenticity and vulnerability transformed the way you viewed yourself and how you connected with others. With each new interaction, you became more aware of the impact your words and actions had on the lives of the people around you. This awareness brought a new responsibility, a need to be a positive example for those struggling with their own internal battles. The gatherings you organized, initially small and informal, began to grow in size and frequency. Over time, the space became a landmark in the community, a place where people could feel welcomed and understood. This evolution was fueled by the sincerity of the stories shared. Each account not only brought to light challenges, but also strategies for overcoming them, creating a cycle of learning and support. You noticed that many people felt relieved to find a space where they could express their concerns without fear of judgment. Empathy became the foundation of these meetings, and the atmosphere of trust that developed encouraged more and more people to open up. This exchange of experiences began to create a chain reaction, where one person's vulnerability inspired another's. Conversations that were once difficult to have now flowed naturally. You observed that people were more willing to discuss their insecurities, fears, and sadness. This new dynamic not only strengthened the bonds between friends, but also helped to open important dialogues about mental health in the community. Issues like anxiety, depression, and stress were addressed directly, without mincing words, bringing significant relief to those who felt alone in their struggles. You began to get involved in mental health awareness campaigns, participating in events that promoted the importance of self-care and empathy. Your role as a champion of vulnerability expanded, and you became an active voice in the fight to destigmatize mental health. This new mission brought a sense of purpose that you hadn't felt before. Getting involved in community initiatives made you feel part of something bigger. You connected with support groups, mental health professionals, and others who shared the same passion for helping others. This network not only expanded your reach but also brought new perspectives on how to effectively approach mental health. Over time, you realized that vulnerability was not just an individual issue but a collective one. The stories you and your friends shared were reflections of a broader human experience. This realization was vital in strengthening your determination to continue promoting openness and honesty in conversations about emotions and mental health. Social media also became a powerful tool for amplifying your message. You utilized these platforms to share insights, reflections, and resources about mental health. The posts you created were authentic and direct, addressing relevant issues in an accessible way. As a result, you reached a wider audience, and messages of support and identification began to emerge in response. The positive feedback you received from people who felt touched by your words was encouraging. Many shared how your posts helped them reflect on their own experiences and seek help. This virtual exchange of support grew into an extension of in-person meetings, creating a space where everyone could feel seen and heard, regardless of whether they were physically present. You began receiving invitations to speak at lectures and workshops on mental health, where you could share your story and the lessons learned along the way. The experience of public speaking was challenging, but the passion you felt for the subject helped you overcome any nerves. Each presentation became an opportunity to inspire and motivate others to open up and seek support. The impact you had started to reflect in visible changes within the community. People began to gather not just for socializing, but also to discuss their experiences and find ways to take care of their mental health. The stigma that once surrounded discussions about mental health began to dissipate, and you felt part of a growing movement that sought to promote acceptance and understanding. Conversations about mental health were no longer viewed as a burden, but as an essential part of the human experience. People felt more comfortable sharing their struggles, creating a space where empathy and mutual support were the norm. You realized that vulnerability, far from being a weakness, was a powerful strength that brought people together. Over time, you noticed that this shift in conversation also affected other areas of people's lives around you. Communication improved, not only in your friendships but also in the workplace. Being open about emotions and personal challenges allowed colleagues to connect on a deeper level, leading to increased collaboration and productivity. Team meetings became more focused and productive, as everyone was willing to share their ideas and concerns. This new atmosphere of support and understanding fostered a healthier and more inclusive environment where everyone felt valued. You recognized that by embracing your vulnerability, you were not only changing your own life, but also impacting the lives of those around you. The journey you started was not limited to personal transformation. It became a movement that spread throughout your community. People began to unite around the cause of mental health, creating a support network that extended beyond the boundaries of your friendship. This connection not only brought strength, but also a renewed sense of belonging. You realized that every step toward authenticity and vulnerability not only shaped who you were, but also left an indelible mark on the lives of the people around you. You became an advocate for the importance of discussing mental health openly, helping to create a space where everyone could feel comfortable being who they really are. Now, as you continue walking this path, you feel stronger and more connected than ever. The genuine smile on your face is a testament not only to your own journey, but also to the impact you've had on the lives of so many people. You've come to understand that vulnerability is a strength that can transform lives, and you are determined to keep promoting this message wherever you go. You realized that the change was not only internal, but also external. Conversations about mental health were now part of everyday life. People felt more comfortable addressing topics that were once avoided, such as anxiety and depression. This brought a collective relief, creating an environment where everyone felt supported. You began to notice that vulnerability also reflected in concrete actions. Support groups were formed, and community initiatives multiplied. People came together to promote events, workshops, and lectures, expanding the reach of the message of acceptance and care. This collective transformation was a clear sign that authenticity truly connects. Before you leave, do two things now. Take a deep breath and hold on to what touched your heart today. And, if it makes sense, share this story with someone else who also needs to hear it.